Dr. Chafee, the #1 carnivore expert, has highlighted the most troubling mistakes majority of us are making on the carnivore diet, severely affecting our progress, resulting in extremely undesirable health outcomes. Let's have a scientific look at all these crucial mistakes and see what damage they bring to us, and most importantly, how we can avoid these errors, as suggested by our beloved carnivore experts. Here we go.
Starting off with mistake number 25. No transition plan. Most of us make this mistake in our very first week on carnivore. We get inspired, watch a few success stories, and dive in overnight, cutting out sugar, carbs, caffeine, dairy, and plants all at once. But instead of feeling stronger, we crash hard. Our bodies, which have relied on glucose for years, suddenly have no fuel. Our gut, used to plant matter and fiber, gets shocked. Insulin drops, our kidneys flush out sodium, and we lose a massive amount of water in just days. Then come the headaches, fatigue, nausea, brain fog, constipation, or the exact opposite. And worst of all, we start thinking the diet isn't working. But the truth is, the diet isn't failing us. Our strategy is. According to Oxford's 2023 Nutritional Transition Study, people who phased into carnivore over 10 to 14 days had 70% fewer symptoms and stayed consistent far longer. So here's how we fix it. Step by step, going week by week. Week 1, eliminate sugar, processed junk, and grains. Week 2, cut back on plant foods and increase fatty meats. Week 3, remove dairy and lingering carbs and shift fully into carnivore. During the transition, we need to add salt, drink plenty of water, and consider a little magnesium to prevent keto flu symptoms. This isn't about rushing, it's about arriving prepared. Because if we get this first step wrong, everything after it would become a big struggle for us. Moving ahead, mistake number 24. Eating way too lean. More than 80% of carnivore followers unknowingly make this mistake, especially in the first few months. We get so focused on eating clean meat that we forget one critical truth. Fat is our fuel. We load up on chicken breast, lean beef, egg whites, and tuna, thinking more protein means better results. But the body doesn't run on protein alone. It needs fat for energy, hormone production, brain health, and cellular repair. When our fat intake is too low, we enter a state of energy deficit, despite eating enough food. Our body, unable to convert excess protein efficiently into energy, starts breaking down muscle for fuel. What follows is a wave of unwanted symptoms: constant fatigue, cold extremities, poor sleep, irritability, and an unexplained loss of strength or libido. These are the subtle but clear signs of a system starved of real nourishment. To avoid this, we must stop fearing fat and start seeing it as the core pillar of the carnivore diet. Choosing fatty cuts like ribeye, adding beef tallow, suet, or egg yolks helps us maintain the fat-protein balance our metabolism really depends on. Without fat, carnivore becomes unsustainable and our healing stalls. With that, we don't just survive, we flourish. Moving to mistake number 23, neglecting crucial electrolytes. Most of us are making this mistake, assuming meat alone provides everything we need on the carnivore diet. But what we don't realize is that a sudden drop in insulin, which naturally happens on carnivore, causes our kidneys to flush out water, and with it critical electrolytes, including sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Without consciously replacing them, we slip into an invisible state of depletion. That's when the problems start. We feel lightheaded standing up. Our heart races at night. We're hit by muscle cramps, brain fog, and deep fatigue. Some of us even develop insomnia or heart palpitations. And worst of all, we start thinking the diet isn't working. But the truth is, the diet isn't failing us. Our strategy is. The solution is neither complicated nor extreme. We need to intentionally include more salt in our meals, far more than we did before. Broths made from fatty meats and bones help bring potassium into balance, while some of us may need magnesium support, especially during periods of intense stress or adaptation. The key is not to fear salt, but to understand its purpose. Carnivore is not a low-sodium diet. It's a high-output system. If we don't restore what we're flushing out, we're setting ourselves up to crash. When electrolytes are dialed in, everything else in the diet begins to work the way it's supposed to do. Next, we have mistake number 22, the zero label. Many of us fall into this trap, especially in the first few months on carnivore. We cut the bread, ditch the pasta, and stock the fridge with meat, but we still cling to one or two comforts we believe are harmless. For some of us, it's coffee all day. For others, it's diet sodas or artificial sweeteners that technically have zero carbs. But here's the truth. While these things may not spike our blood sugar, they absolutely disrupt our healing. Caffeine, especially in excess, can raise cortisol, interrupt sleep cycles, and increase cravings. Sweeteners like sucralose or aspartame may not have calories, but they can stimulate insulin release through the cephalic response, confuse hunger cues, and prolong our dependence on sweet tastes. If we're serious about healing, we need to get serious about what we allow in, even if it comes with a zero on the label. If we cut out sweeteners, reduce caffeine gradually, and let go of carnivore-approved junk, we reconnect with real hunger, stabilize our mood, and finally break free from addiction-like patterns. If we're serious about healing, we need to get serious about what we allow in, even if it comes with a zero on the label. Moving to the top of this section, mistake number 21, the keto flu panic. Almost all of us go through this, often within the first 10 days, and many of us panic. We feel dizzy, nauseous, exhausted, moody, or completely out of it. Our workouts crash, our brain fog thickens, and we start wondering if carnivore is even safe. Some of us even quit. But this storm we hit, it's not a failure. It's a physiological shift. As we remove carbs, insulin drops, water flushes out, and electrolytes get depleted fast. Our metabolism begins switching to fat and ketone use, but in those early days, it hasn't fully adapted. The result is the infamous keto flu, a predictable, temporary adaptation phase. The mistake isn't the symptoms, it's how we react to them. When we interpret them as signs of failure, we give up just as our body is beginning to heal. But when we understand that this discomfort is part of the process, we're mentally prepared to ride it through without panicking. The best way forward is to increase salt, drink more water, eat fatty meats generously, and allow our body time to adapt without adding stress or guilt. The keto flu isn't a sign that carnivore is harming us. It's a sign that real change is happening beneath the surface.
And now we are entering into the metabolic trap zone, with each mistake having much serious consequences for the carnivore followers.
Mistake number 20. Under-eating calories. A huge number of us fall into this trap without even knowing it. We're eating only animal foods, staying strict, and feeling proud of our discipline. But deep inside, our body is starving. Not for nutrients, but for total energy. This happens often to people coming from years of calorie-restricted or dieting backgrounds. We eat a few eggs, a steak, maybe a bit of butter, and feel full. But satiety doesn't always mean sufficiency. Over time, we begin losing energy, strength, focus, and motivation. Our workouts suffer, our sleep weakens, hormones decline, hair thins, and yet we assume carnivore is the problem. In truth, we're not eating enough. Many of us mistake low appetite for true sufficiency. But appetite can be blunted in the early stages of carnivore due to gut reset and hormonal shifts. That's why relying on appetite alone can be misleading. To correct this, we need to be intentional about nourishment. Choose calorie-dense cuts like ribeye add fat, and don't fear second portions if energy is low. Healing isn't about eating the bare minimum, it's about giving the body enough to rebuild. Undereating might look disciplined, but it often leads to disaster beneath the surface. Moving down to mistake number 19, forcing OMAD too early. Many of us fall for this one after just a few weeks into carnivore. We hear that eating once a day, OMAD, boosts fat loss, autophagy, and hormonal balance. So we force ourselves into it, thinking it's the ultimate upgrade. But what we don't realize is that when we fast too aggressively without being metabolically adapted, we put our system under unnecessary stress. Early in the diet, our metabolism is still adjusting. Our cells haven't fully switched over to fat and ketones, and our hunger signals are still recalibrating. Forcing OMAD during this fragile window can cause crashes in energy, rising cortisol, mood swings, and even slowed thyroid function. We feel more irritable, more fatigued, and in some cases, we start losing lean muscle along with fat. Oxford's 2021 metabolic rhythm study showed that individuals who began OMAD before establishing full fat adaptation experienced a 28% increase in cortisol levels and greater appetite dysregulation compared to those who waited 6 to 8 weeks before reducing meal frequency. Fasting works best when it's earned, not forced. We need to first stabilize blood sugar, normalize digestion, and build up nutritional reserves with 2 or 3 solid meals per day. Once our body feels truly fed and hormonally balanced, it naturally begins to prefer longer periods without food. Let's not chase fasting intensity at the expense of healing. OMAD has its place, but only when our body invites it. Moving down to mistake number 18, eating too frequently. Opposite to the previous one, this mistake sneaks in without us realizing it, especially in the first few months of carnivore. We feel uncertain about meal timing, so we snack on boiled eggs, bite-sized meat leftovers, or even small bits of cheese all day long. It feels safe, but what we're really doing is keeping insulin elevated and digestion constantly engaged, 2 things that stall healing. Carnivore is designed to restore hormonal rhythms, leptin, ghrelin, insulin, all of which rely on clear meal spacing. When we eat too often, even small amounts, we interrupt the fat-burning state that carnivore promotes. We never give our body a chance to settle into efficient energy use. Over time, we may feel bloated, sluggish, or stuck in that frustrating, always full, never satisfied state. The fix lies in learning to trust our hunger signals. If we're truly hungry, eat a full meal, not a nibble. But if we're just bored, anxious, or eating out of habit, we need to pause. Carnivore gives us a powerful gift, internal clarity. Let's use it. When we stop grazing and start nourishing intentionally, everything from digestion to energy to fat loss improves. Our body needs time between meals, not just food within them. Up next, something crucial for women. Mistake number 17, ignoring hormonal imbalance. This mistake often goes unnoticed until our body starts screaming for help. Many of us, especially women, begin carnivore to heal thyroid issues, PCOS, fatigue, or mood swings. And for the first few weeks, things improve. But then something changes. We feel colder, our cycles become irregular, energy dips, and anxiety creeps in. Still, we push through, assuming it's part of adaptation. But what we're often ignoring are clear signs of hormonal imbalance, a consequence of underfueling, stress, or overly restrictive routines. Low-fat intake, excessive fasting, and unintentional calorie deficits can also suppress thyroid function, lower progesterone, and increase cortisol. The result? Hormonal chaos, even on the cleanest carnivore diet. The fix isn't to abandon the diet, it's to adjust it. We need to ensure we're eating enough total calories, prioritizing animal fats, and not overfasting, especially during periods of high stress or hormonal sensitivity. Women in particular must remember that carnivore isn't a one-size-fits-all plan. Cyclical variation, reproductive age, and stress exposure all matter. Healing hormones means listening closely to the body, not silencing it in the name of discipline. Because if our diet causes hormonal decline, we're not thriving, we're just surviving. Discussing something really crucial, mistake number 16, incorrect fat-protein ratio. Many of us make this mistake even after months on the carnivore diet, thinking we've got things dialed in. We focus so heavily on hitting our protein targets or staying lean that we forget the foundational principle of carnivore. The body runs on fat, not protein. When we get this balance wrong, everything else starts falling apart. Too much protein without enough fat can leave us exhausted, mentally foggy, and constantly hungry. It stresses the liver, spikes cortisol, and leads to poor sleep, hormonal instability, and metabolic stagnation. On the other hand, an overload of rendered fat without adequate protein can cause sluggishness, nausea, and digestive distress. Neither works. What we need is a ratio that fuels, heals, and balances. The reality is there's no single ideal ratio for everyone. Some of us thrive on higher fat for mental clarity and hormone support. Others need slightly more protein to preserve muscle or improve body composition. The key is observing how our body responds, not copying someone else's numbers. If we're cold, irritable, or fatigued, we likely need more fat. If we're bloated, sluggish, or losing muscle, we may need to adjust protein upward. Our ratio is dynamic, not fixed, and until we find that sweet spot, carnivore won't feel effortless, it'll feel like a struggle.
Friends, before we move ahead to the most crucial mistakes, we would like to know, how has been your experience on the carnivore diet so far? Which health conditions have you managed to heal? Did you face any problems while starting or later on? And do you have any tips and suggestions for other carnivore followers? Do share in the comments. And here we have a little request. Subscribe to our channel, Carnivore Squad, helping us spread the healing message further. We are now entering the guaranteed failure zone, mistakes that certainly ruin our health and results on the carnivore journey. Do watch with a bit more focus and concentration till the end.
Mistake number 15, avoiding organ meats. Many of us skip organ meats completely, even though they are the nutritional backbone of ancestral eating. We stick to ribeyes and ground beef, maybe throw in some eggs, but we avoid liver, heart, or kidney, believing muscle meat is enough. But this avoidance comes at a cost. Organs provide nutrients in concentrations that muscle meat simply can't match. Vitamin A, copper, zinc, B12, folate, choline. These nutrients are essential for immune function, fertility, skin health, and detoxification. Without them, we develop low-grade deficiencies, even while technically eating clean. The idea that organs are optional is a modern convenience. Ancestrally, they were prized. Liver, for example, is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on Earth. A few bites a week can prevent symptoms we'd otherwise chase supplements for. If the taste or texture is an issue, we can start small. Mix liver into ground beef, try heart as a steak substitute, or use desiccated organ capsules. The key is to stop seeing organs as exotic. They are essential. And without them, we're missing the part of carnivore that makes it complete. Up next, equally critical, mistake number 14, ignoring gut healing. This mistake sets up many of us for unnecessary disappointment. We enter carnivore thinking that eliminating fiber and plant foods will instantly fix bloating, reflux, IBS, or irregularity. And while improvement often comes quickly, gut healing is rarely instant, especially for those of us coming from years of dysbiosis, inflammation, or medication use. When symptoms don't resolve in the first few weeks, we assume the diet isn't working. But real gut healing takes time. The lining of the gut, the microbiome, the mucosal immune system, all of it has to rebuild and recalibrate, often from years of damage. That doesn't happen in 2 weeks. The fix here is patience and awareness. We need to expect fluctuations. Diarrhea, constipation, or stool irregularity are common as the body learns to digest meat efficiently again. Over time, these normalize. If symptoms persist, fatty meat, bone broth, and gelatin-rich cuts can help repair the gut lining faster. We didn't destroy our gut overnight. we won't heal it overnight. But if we stay the course, healing does come, deeper and more lasting than any elimination plan we've tried before. Next we have mistake number 13, neglecting hydration. This mistake creeps in quietly, especially for those of us in hot climates or active lifestyles. We assume that drinking water when we're thirsty is enough, but on carnivore, hydration works differently. Because our insulin is low, we're flushing water and sodium constantly, and if we don't replace both aggressively, we enter a state of silent dehydration. Symptoms often appear as fatigue, headaches, low energy, dizziness, or muscle cramps, even when we're eating well. It's not that the diet is wrong, it's that our electrolyte and water balance is off. On carnivore, we need to hydrate proactively, not reactively. That means salting our food liberally, drinking water steadily throughout the day, and adjusting intake during workouts, sauna sessions, or hot weather. Hydration isn't just about drinking water, it's about retaining it, delivering it, and using it. And without enough sodium and minerals, water just passes through. If we're active, sweating, or even just living in heat, hydration is no longer optional. It's a must at all costs. Moving down to mistake number 12, fearing salt. Even on carnivore, many of us still carry the old fear of salt. We've been told for decades that salt raises blood pressure, causes bloating, or damages the heart, so we go light on it or avoid adding it at all. But in a zero-carb, insulin-lowered state like carnivore, this mindset quickly backfires. Without carbs to help the kidneys retain sodium, we lose salt rapidly through urine. And when that sodium drops, so does our energy. We get lightheaded when standing, feel anxious for no reason, and struggle with sleep, focus, or muscle cramps. These aren't flaws in the diet, they're signs that our body is under-mineralized. Salt isn't just safe on carnivore, it's therapeutic. But not all salt is created equal. Standard table salt is often stripped of trace minerals and packed with anti-caking agents. What we need instead is unrefined, mineral-rich salt like Himalayan pink salt, Redmond real salt, or Celtic sea salt. These provide not only sodium, but also essential cofactors like magnesium, potassium, and trace elements that help us retain and utilize water properly. Moving one step closer to the final 10. Mistake number 11, underestimating stress. This is one of the most underestimated blocks to healing on carnivore. We clean up our plate, remove toxins, balance macros, yet still feel inflamed, anxious, or tired. That's because healing isn't just about food. It's also about nervous system regulation. And many of us are walking around in a near constant state of stress. When stress is chronic, cortisol rises, blood sugar gets unstable, digestion slows, and inflammation persists, no matter how perfect our diet is. We start blaming the meat, the macros, or the method, when the real issue is unmanaged stress load. This doesn't mean we need to meditate for hours a day, but it does mean we need to respect sleep, limit caffeine, reduce exposure to stress triggers, and actively find moments of calm, walking outside, breath work, or even structured rest periods. Food is foundational, but it isn't everything. If we want full recovery, we have to support the system that tells the body it's safe enough to heal. That starts with acknowledging our stress and doing something realistic about it.
Now, we are moving to the final, and perhaps the most critical phase. These are the 10 mistakes that separate those who merely follow and survive on the diet from those who truly master it.
Mistake number 10, over-relying on rendered fats. This is a subtle mistake even experienced carnivores among us make, especially when trying to increase fat intake. We hear, eat more fat, so we start drowning our lean steaks in pools of liquid tallow, ghee, or butter. While this seems like a good strategy, our digestive systems often disagree. Rendered liquid fats are processed differently than the fats naturally bound within muscle and tissue. For many of us, this overload can lead to urgent bathroom trips, greasy stools, nausea, and a feeling of sluggishness. We're eating the right macros, but in the wrong form. Our bodies prefer fat that is integrated with protein. Think of a well-marbled ribeye, fatty brisket, or salmon belly.
The fat here is delivered in a matrix that aids digestion and absorption. The solution isn't to abandon added fats, but to use them as a supplement, not the primary source. We need to listen to our digestion. If we're experiencing distress after high-fat meals, we should shift our focus from rendered fats to naturally fatty cuts of meat. The goal is to feel energized and light, not weighed down. True satiety comes from nutrient-dense tissue, not just liquid energy. Moving down to mistake number 9, the just muscle meat mentality. This mistake goes beyond just avoiding organs. It's about ignoring the rest of the animal. Many of us build our diet entirely on steaks, ground beef, and roasts, pure muscle meat. While fantastic, this approach misses a critical component of ancestral nutrition: connective tissue. Glycine, collagen, and gelatin, the nutrients found in skin, tendons, cartilage, and bones, are essential for balancing the high methionine content of muscle meat. Without this balance, some of us can experience joint stiffness, poor skin health, or even increased inflammation. Our ancestors didn't just eat the steak, they ate the whole animal, often boiling the bones and tougher cuts to extract every bit of nourishment. This is why bone broth is so revered. It's not a supplement, it's a food, rich in the very building blocks our modern diet neglects. The fix is to think beyond the muscle. Let's make rich bone broth a regular part of our routine. Choose cuts like shank or short ribs that we can slow cook, and eat the chicken skin. This isn't about being extreme. It's about achieving nutritional harmony and giving our bodies the full spectrum of amino acids needed to repair and rebuild. Moving ahead, mistake number 7, the dire deception. This is the hidden inflammatory trigger that stalls progress for countless people in our community. We eliminate plants and sugars, but we keep cheese, cream, or yogurt, thinking they're carnivore friendly. For some, they are, but for a huge number of us, dairy is the saboteur we never suspect. The proteins in dairy, like casein and whey, can be highly inflammatory and insulinogenic, meaning they spike insulin even without sugar. This can halt fat loss, trigger acne or skin rashes, cause bloating and sinus congestion, and create brain fog. We're blaming a weight loss plateau on our meat choices or fat ratios, when the real culprit is the handful of cheese we snack on or the heavy cream in our coffee. We're so close to feeling our best, but dairy is holding us back. The solution is a strict 30-day dairy elimination. Let's remove all cheese, yogurt, kefir, and cream. More often than not, this single change unlocks the final level of healing. Let's not let a harmless habit be the one thing standing between us and incredible results. Something really crucial, mistake number 6, ignoring food quality. This is the mistake of thinking meat is meat, and it can be the difference between surviving and thriving on this path. In the beginning, any meat-based diet is an upgrade, but for long-term healing and optimization, quality matters immensely. Conventionally raised grain-fed meat often has a higher ratio of inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids to anti-inflammatory omega-3s. These animals are also exposed to antibiotics, hormones, and pesticide-laden feed, residues of which can end up on our plates. We may find our progress stalls, inflammation lingers, or we just don't feel as vibrant as we'd hoped. We're doing everything else right, but our primary food source is working against us. The solution is to prioritize the highest quality meat our budget allows. Let's look for grass-fed, grass-finished beef and lamb, pasture-raised pork and poultry, and wild-caught fish. Even upgrading 1 or 2 meals a week can make a significant difference. Our bodies are built from the food we eat. We must choose the best building blocks we can. And not to forget, mistake number 6, chasing weight loss instead of healing. This mindset mistake is one of the most destructive on the carnivore journey. We come to the diet to lose weight, and we become obsessed with the number on the scale. Every morning we step on it, and our mood for the day is dictated by that number. When the scale doesn't move for a week, we panic. We start restricting calories or over-exercising, completely ignoring the profound healing happening inside. We overlook the fact that our joint pain is gone, our acid reflux has vanished, our skin is clearing up, and our energy is stable for the first time in years. We ignored these incredible victories because the scale hasn't budged. The truth is, our bodies prioritize healing over weight loss. They will first work to reduce inflammation and balance hormones. During this phase, we might even gain a little weight as we build metabolically active muscle. The fix is to put the scale away for the first 90 days and focus instead on non-scale victories, how our clothes fit, our energy levels, our mental clarity, and our sleep quality. Weight loss is a side effect of getting healthy. Let's chase health, and the weight loss will follow.
Friends, we now have the final bosses of destruction. The top 5 mistakes that guarantee absolute failure on the carnivore diet.
Mistake number 5. Misinterpreting the numbers. This is the mistake that can cause us or our doctors to panic and abandon a diet that is profoundly healing us. After a few months on carnivore, we get our blood work done. Our triglycerides are incredibly low, our HDL is high, but our LDL is elevated. Immediately, alarm bells ring. Our doctors may warn us about heart disease and pressure us to stop the diet. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of lipidology in a low-carb context. On a carnivore diet, our bodies use fat for fuel, transporting it via LDL particles. An elevated LDL, in the context of low triglycerides and high HDL, is often a sign of a healthy, fat-adapted metabolism, not impending disease. This pattern is known as the lean mass hyper-responder phenotype. The mistake is looking at one marker in isolation. A 2022 study from the Journal of Metabolic Health confirmed that for individuals on a ketogenic diet, the ratio of triglycerides to HDL is a far more accurate predictor of cardiovascular risk than LDL alone. Let's not let an outdated understanding of cholesterol scare us away from health. We must work with a low-carb informed doctor and learn to read our labs in context. Moving down to mistake number 4, the social surrender. This mistake happens not on our plates, but in our heads. It's the decision to give up on our own health to satisfy others. We go to a family dinner or out with friends. We face questions, jokes, and pressure. Just have one bite. Don't be so extreme. The social friction becomes so intense that we cave. We eat the pizza or the cake not because we wanted to, but because it was easier than holding our ground. We surrender. Every time this happens, we don't just reignite inflammation, we send a message to ourselves that other people's comfort is more important than our own well-being. This erodes our confidence and makes it exponentially harder to stay consistent. The solution is to prepare our mindset. We need to have a simple, confident answer ready. Thank you, but I'm not eating that today. I'm feeling so much better this way. We don't need to justify or defend. Our health is not a debate. If we don't stand up for our own healing, no one else will. Moving one step closer to the truth. Mistake number 3, the perfectionist fallacy. This is the psychological trap that turns a small slip-up into a total catastrophe. We've been perfectly strict for 47 days. We feel incredible. Then, at an office party, we have a cookie. The guilt hits us like a tidal wave. We think, I've ruined everything. I'm a failure. I might as well just eat whatever I want for the rest of the weekend. We spiral out of control, turning a 100-calorie mistake into a 10,000-calorie disaster. This all-or-nothing thinking is the death of consistency. The cookie didn't ruin our progress. Our reaction to eating the cookie did. Healing is not a perfect linear path. There will be bumps. The key is not to avoid them entirely, but to recover from them instantly. The master doesn't fall less, they get up faster. The fix is to practice self-compassion and immediate course correction. So, we had a cookie. We must acknowledge it, forgive ourselves, and make our very next meal a perfect fatty carnivore meal. One mistake is a data point. 2 is the beginning of a pattern. Let's not let our perfectionism be the reason we fail. Moving one step closer to the truth. Mistake number 2, the carnivore dogma trap. This is the advanced mistake of becoming so rigid in our beliefs that we stop listening to the one expert that matters most, our own bodies. We follow a specific guru who says to only eat beef, salt, and water. So even when we're craving salmon and our bodies are signaling for variety, we ignore it. Or a community tells us dairy is evil, so we avoid it, even though a little raw kefir makes our digestion feel amazing. We outsource our intuition to someone else's rules. This dogma prevents personalization. It turns a flexible, intuitive way of eating into a restrictive, religious-like doctrine. The truth is, the perfect carnivore diet is the one that works for us. For some, that's beef only. For others, it includes fish, eggs, poultry, and even some well-tolerated dairy. The ultimate goal of carnivore isn't to follow rules, it's to heal our bodies to the point where we can hear their signals clearly again. Let's not let dogma drown out our own intuition. If we feel better eating a wider variety of animal foods, that is our truth. Our bodies know better than any book or guru. And the number one mistake that ruins almost all carnivore results. Mistake number 1. Believing the diet is the destination. This is the single greatest error in thinking, and it's the reason so many of us ultimately fail. We treat the carnivore diet as the end goal. We believe that if we just eat the right meat and fat, all of our life's problems will be solved. We see it as a magic pill that should fix everything without any other effort. But the diet isn't the destination, it's the vehicle. Its purpose is to give us the physical energy and mental clarity to build better lives. The diet removes the brain fog so we can finally write that book. It eliminates the joint pain so we can play with our kids again. It stabilizes our mood so we can be better partners. It gives us the fuel, but we still have to drive. If we get our health back, but we remain in the same toxic jobs, the same negative relationships, and the same sedentary lifestyles, we have wasted the gift. The diet gives us the power to change our lives. It doesn't change them for us. Let's stop asking what the diet can do for us and start asking ourselves, with this newfound health and energy, what will we do for our lives? That is the question that unlocks true, lasting transformation.
So friends, having gone through these 25 crucial mistakes, we really hope that you would avoid any such mistake on your carnivore journey. We would like to know, how has been your experience on the carnivore diet so far? What benefits have you reaped, and which health conditions have you healed so far? Do share your journey in the comments. Press the like button if you found this video helpful, and share it with your loved ones as well. Subscribe now to our channel Carnivore Squad, helping us spread the healing message further. And do you know what happened to the first ever carnivore food pyramid? Click the video showing up on the screen to find that out. See you there.